Alright, so the Hero 9 is the largest GoPro to date. It's actually not that much bigger than the 8, but compared to the 6 and the 7, it actually looks huge. One of the reasons they made it so big is for this thing right here, which is the front-facing screen. The front-facing camera is great for vlogging, and honestly, it's just kind of nice to have. No matter which way you're facing, you can always see exactly what the camera sees. And what's cool is the front screen actually has a few options, so you can decide whether or not you want the screen to be off, or just showing the status, or the full screen option, which is just a cropped version to fit the screen entirely. I prefer to use it as the actual screen just so I can see the entire frame when I'm using it. And I personally think this is probably the coolest thing they've added to GoPros since Hypersmooth. Speaking of which, the new Hypersmooth 3.0, which is what this camera has, creates some of the most buttery smooth videos that I've ever seen. I would love to see a side-by-side comparison of the Hypersmooth 2.0 to the Hypersmooth 3.0, but unfortunately I don't have a Hero 8 at my disposal. So I hope this little edit gives you a good idea of just how smooth the footage is on the Hero 9. Another improved feature with the Hero 9 is battery life. So while shooting in 1080p, I was able to get about 2 hours of battery life out of this thing. And when I was shooting in 5K, I was able to get 30 to 45 minutes of battery life, which when you're shooting in 5K is actually a lot. And I was just really impressed that the camera didn't overheat or anything like that. The camera is packed with a 24 megapixel sensor, and photos come out extremely sharp. And honestly, even a screen grab from some of those 5K videos results in a super sharp image. This lens right here is interchangeable, and soon you'll be able to purchase all kinds of mods for it, as well as the super wide angle mod that GoPro has already announced. Now in camera, you're able to swap digitally to different focal ranges, and each focal range produces a pretty clear image. Obviously, the further you zoom in, the worse it's gonna get, and I think 27 millimeters is the max, but even at 27, the image was still pretty sharp. Obviously, it's not gonna be as good as it is at 16, but I mean, for what it is and how small it is, it's pretty impressive. And as long as you're in the right lighting, the image quality looks pretty damn good. I've had a chance to play around with a few of the other new features as well. One of these being horizon leveling mode, which if used in the right scenario, it can add this really cool effect to your videos. I've also used time warp video, which isn't necessarily new, but it's just one of those things that's super fun to play with, and you're able to get incredible hyperlapses with it with minimal effort. They also included this new feature called hindsight capture. I'll probably do a terrible job of explaining it, but in short, it basically records 30 seconds into the past, if that makes sense. If I'm using my GoPro and I click on hindsight capture, it will capture whatever this camera saw 30 seconds ago. So if you ever do forget to push record, you're able to go back 30 seconds and capture it. I have absolutely no idea how that technology works, and just saying it out loud sounds like time travel, but I don't think this qualifies. I don't think GoPro invented time travel. All in all, it's a really great camera, but before I go fully into my conclusion on the Hero 9, the other day I asked you guys on my Instagram story if you had any questions about the Hero 9 that you wanted answered. And a few of you guys replied, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and answer those questions right now. All right, so the first question is, if you're buying a GoPro for the first time, is it worth paying $100 more for the 9 instead of paying $100 less for the 8? And I would say it's worth paying the extra $100 for the 9. As someone who's used an 8 in the past, I would say that the Hypersmooth is probably a bit better, and honestly, the front-facing camera is huge. It's one of those things that I think now that GoPro's added it, it's gonna be really difficult to go back. I think it's gonna be one of those things that's always integrated into GoPros from now on. So just having the first model and getting used to it, I think is gonna be a positive in the long run. Second question is battery life and audio performance. So I've already kind of gone into battery life, but as far as audio quality, I filmed a good portion of this video on the GoPro with no microphone. Just use the audio from what the GoPro picked up, and I've looked at it on the computer and it sounds really good. It's actually super clean for GoPro audio, and honestly, I don't really think you need a microphone if you're just using a GoPro to vlog or something like that. I think the audio quality is really good. All right, so the last question is about dynamic range, and what I would say about the GoPro Hero 9's dynamic range is it's definitely improved. Like I said before, it's got a 23.6 megapixel sensor, and I honestly am very surprised at how well the photos turn out, because just 2 years ago they released the Hero 7 and the photos on the Hero 7 are not great, but the photos on the Hero 9 are actually starting to get pretty good. And as far as like dynamic range goes and like kind of bokeh, I would say it's definitely the best performing camera GoPro has released. But you know, it is just an action camera and it's that big, so it's obviously not going to have the same dynamic range as a DSLR. So with all of this said, I think as you guys can tell, I'm pretty hyped on the GoPro Hero 9. It's a great camera. It's definitely the best camera that GoPro has ever released, in my opinion. I think the front-facing camera is gonna let users be just way more creative with their shots. I'm honestly just really excited to see what shots come out in the next year because of this camera. My first GoPro was the Hero 2, and that was before they even had a back-facing screen. There was no screen whatsoever. You just had to guess what you were pointing at, and then you'd go on the computer and later you'd figure out what you actually captured. You wouldn't know until after you plugged it into the computer. So I think the front-facing screen kind of opens a new chapter for GoPro, and it's obviously not anything new as the Osmo Action has it already and a few other action cameras already do this, but for me, I'm kind of GoPro till the end. I'm probably always only gonna buy GoPro, so for them to include it just kind of gets me excited for the future of GoPro. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. If you want to be part of another poll or question series that I do, go follow me on Instagram. The link will be down below. And if you guys have any other questions about the Hero 9, just drop them in the comments. I try to answer every single comment, so just go ahead and leave a question if you have it. Other than that, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.